Good evening, everyone. Mine is Alan Smason, and welcome once again to NOLA Theater Talk. It's a project of the NOLA Theater Folk Facebook group, as well as a broadcast going out to the theatercriticism.com Facebook page, and also on my own YouTube channel every Monday and Friday night, mostly. Would like to also mention the fact that if you'd like to leave a comment, please do so tonight. And you can help us facilitate those comments or questions by going to https://StreamYard.com/Facebook. You should pretty much know how to do that anyway, but StreamYard.com/Facebook. And the idea being that that way you'll give permission to make a comment through Facebook if you happen to be on Facebook or through YouTube. Perhaps it'll show up as well. I've never been able to figure out YouTube's standards there, but I will tell you tonight we have a great fortune. We are going to be blessed tonight by a group that is relatively new on the scene in New Orleans. That does not mean that they are unprepared, as it were. They are absolutely a joy to behold. They've done some wonderful projects in the past. Looking forward to doing some other new things. And again, we're going to welcome tonight, as you can see their image of their logo tonight, the Radical Buffoons. And the Radical Buffoons is a company that was founded by artistic director John Green, and would like to bring John into our broadcast right now and welcome him to the show. Let's see if we can...
I need some good Carson. I need some good Carson band introduction music.
Ta-da!
Yeah, right. I need the curtain open, schmooze my way in. So, my bedroom is just like Carson.
And you've been working in the school system, right? You've been working...
Yeah, so besides being the artistic director of the Buffoons for the last 4 years, I also work as a teacher of talented theater in several schools and with young audiences of Louisiana, specifically as a professional development artist. So what I do is I go into fourth grades around Jefferson Parish and work with teachers on how they can integrate artistic ideas into their everyday lessons. So they're not just teaching to a test. I like to usually tell the teacher that the kids get to come along for the ride while they grow their toolkit of how they can teach their lessons.
So now you're not originally from New Orleans. Can you give me a little bit of background from?
No, I am not. I am originally from Maryland, that the grand newly anointed Mid-Atlantic region, which that term didn't exist when I was a kid. And I got here to New Orleans in 2014 by way of a couple cities in America, but actually right before I was here, I was actually living for 3 years in Singapore. I went to school for theater at Boston University. I have a BFA in theater, and basically the day I walked out of that school, I started following theatrical opportunities wherever they took me. I also, for a period of time, left BU to train in physical comedy in Italy. So essentially, for the next, what is that? Almost 20 years of my life, I was bouncing around the States and bouncing around the world, picking up various theater jobs wherever they would lead me. Sometimes in New York, sometimes in DC, Buenos Aires, Italy, Prague, Singapore, South Dakota. Yeah. And I came here on a whim to visit a friend. I was living in Singapore. I was directing plays and teaching at a extracurricular theater school there. And I came to visit a friend in August, which, if you're living in Singapore, is not a very hot time for New Orleans. And I don't know, I think my foot hit the pavement right out of Louis Armstrong, and I got a sense that this is where I needed to be. That was 2012. It took me 2 more years to finish my contract in Singapore and get down here. Just dive into the theater community. I feel very lucky,
It's in your honor tonight You know what I made, right?
Yeah, I hear it. You made a Singapore sling. That's right.
Singapore sling. I
That's
made.
right. A
Look, just for
Singapore sling.
you.
Invented at the Raffles Hotel. Quite a
That's
thing.
correct.
Yeah.
I've been there, and so I
Oh,
can
I didn't
tell
know
you
you've been
this
to
is.
Singapore.
Oh yeah, I was in Singapore. That was back in my old days when I could still travel,
Yeah,
pre-COVID,
right.
mind you. Yes.
I know. Oh, I know. The thought of getting to Singapore with its 22-hour flight um, is being
Yeah.
put very far down the road. So, but
But
yeah,
the best
yeah.
airline in the world. If you ever
Singapore
get a
Airlines.
chance to use Singapore Airlines to go anywhere,
Oh my God,
the most
amazing.
beautiful attendants, the
Yeah.
most graceful people who make every comfort possible for you.
I will tell you, and I will tell you, the airport in Singapore, in my mind, has the most brilliant strategy around not having crowds. And I constantly am amazed when I go through American airports with their single choke point. So, you know,
Yeah.
all 2,000 people have to get scanned in the same place. At the Singapore airport, it's all international. Everything's an international flight because it's a city the size of, you know what, it's an island.
Sure.
So you don't go through like metal detector security until you're at your gate. So your gate doesn't open until like 20 minutes before your flight. And that's when you go through security, which is a remarkable thing because you don't have this line, this snaking Disney World ride line that you've got to wait in surrounded by hundreds of other travelers. You just you walk in the airport, you hang out, and then you go through security when you get to your gate.
Well, unfortunately, in the United States, we have far too many airports with far too many soft targets, and that's the reason we have to deal with.
Fair enough.
Let me, just so that other people will know what's in a Singapore sling before I bring in your associate artistic director. It's 1.5 ounces of gin, a half ounce of cherry brandy. I use the cherry hearing brandy, a quarter of an ounce of Benedictine, a quarter of an ounce of triple sec, 4 ounces of pineapple juice, a half ounce of lime juice, about a third of an ounce of grenadine, and then a dash or two of bitters. I actually put in 2. There you go, a Singapore sling. And John, I want to, like I said, I want to welcome. What did you bring? What are you drinking?
Oh, I'm just drinking straight bourbon whiskey with 2 melted ice cubes and a couple dashes of orange bitters.
All right, so
yeah.
Again, you know, straight to the chase, as it were. You've got your.
Well, if I were to make a serious cocktail in the house, it would either be Negroni or a Last Word.
All right.
Those are my two.
I love both of those.
But generally speaking, years of bartending as a drinker at home, it's straight to the strong stuff.
Did you actually decide to form Radical Buffoons in 2013 or 14?
No, so I moved here in 2014 and just began to meet people in the theater community. Wrote a show around this time of year that the Elm produced at their Naughty List short holiday play festival. Then I was in a production of The Stinky Cheese Man. And I've always also, my training as a theater maker is multifaceted. So I was just participating in everything. And so my first directed production in New Orleans was Faustus. And from Faustus, I worked at Le Petit doing the first panto that I wrote and co-directed there, Sleeping Beauty. Then I worked on
now was Faustus the one that was
Evan Spiegelman and Matt Stanley were in.
Matt
We did
Stanley,
it.
Matt Stanley, beautiful. That was done at the old Shadow Box of the Marquee. I'm not quite sure what it was called back then, but
that was my first chance to sort of work as a director in town, and so then I began to work as a director more and more. The Buffoons were actually started in 2017 because another company asked me to direct Mr. Burns, and it's a very big show, and it's to do that kind of show, the kind of work that it requires, what I know I ask of actors as a director and as a maker. I felt like the budget needed to be bigger. And having had some history and experience as a producer, I said, I'll tell you what, the other company was Rockfire. I love all of them so dearly. Sure. And it was a great opportunity to co-produce. And so I founded the Buffoons to help raise some money, to help match the put in for the show. So really it was a means to an end as more than some grand scheme to create a company. But what happened was we worked with some amazing people. Tori and Rebecca, who are both going to be on the show, were actors in that show. We started meeting. We worked on this project together. You know, the 14 of us that worked on it, design staff, management staff, acting staff. And so it was like, great, we did a show, let's do another one. And then we did The Dumbwaiter. We had such a good time on that. Before I knew it, we'd had a season. So really, the Buffoons came out of necessity and have grown and are continuing to grow into something beyond that original means to an end, right? You want to produce a play, make a production company was how it started. And now it's turned into a collective of 22 remarkable artists with a whole bunch of different skills and a whole bunch of different backgrounds, offering input and cultivating work and producing and acting and designing. So yeah, it just presented itself. A door opens, you walk through it, you say yes to the moment. And that's what we did. I said yes to that first moment, and so many amazing artists that we work with keep saying yes to participate. And now we're not even close to what we were when we started, which is exciting. It's a living and growing thing.
Let me go ahead and bring in your associate artistic director. You mentioned earlier, Tori Haywood. Tori, let me ask if you would please be so kind to join us. Again, I assume that he mentioned you as being one of the actors early on. Were you here already in New Orleans? You were native, or?
Yeah, so I actually, and so John, I don't even know if John remembers this, but in that initial conversation about Mr. Burns, I asked if he would be starting a theater group, or was this going to be, and he said no. He said, no way, this was just going to be a group of people for, he was just looking to put together a cast for Mr. Burns. But yeah, to answer your question, Alan, I'm originally from Louisiana, from Alexandria, Louisiana, about 4 hours away. I went away for college and swore that I would never live. There were really two things that I swore. I was like, I will never be a teacher, and I will never live back in Louisiana. And after I graduated from college, the first two things I did, I moved to New Orleans, and I was a high school English teacher. And so that was in 2012. And I kind of really focused on teaching. Anyone who knows, in normal times, teaching is really hard. And we're seeing, in a pandemic, that a really difficult job has been made even more difficult. And so I really focused on teaching for my first few years in New Orleans. I had gotten actually a few small opportunities to do some design work, some scenic design with the NOLA project, and focused mostly on education. And then I, got put in contact with John. I had a friend in town who had worked with John, and John was looking to put together this cast for Mr. Burns. And, similarly, I just kept saying yes. A couple of years later, John, he was like, hey, do you want to read a couple of scripts and let me know what you think about these scripts? And, I just kept saying yes. And it's really ended or continues to be a really nice artistic home for me.
So what does an associate artistic director do that the artistic director doesn't do? Do you not do the grant writing? Does he handle the heavy lifting, like with the finances, or do you do that too?
Yeah, I think my initial response was I answer a lot of John's phone calls, throughout the day or whatever, these moment to moment decisions that, as a new company, we've been continually making. And so I will say at first that really feels like the most important task or role that I play in the company. I think more broadly is, as a new company, we've kind of gotten to create these roles. And so in that, not only, John does kind of handle the bulk of our development. And separately, I oversee our literary selection process. And we've created a process that really is unique to the Buffoons and matches kind of who we are as we're looking and selecting work that we potentially produce.
Yeah, Tori, if I can jump in, I think something that's really important about our relationship and about what we're trying to do with the Buffoons as we move forward is to begin to break away from some of the vertical structuring that's inherent in all sort of American companies, And for Tori and I co-directed Barbecue last year. I forget when it was, but for me, artistic director, associate artistic director is so vertical. I actually see this as an opportunity for peer mentorship, right? Like, I learn as much from Tori in the way he does the work with our company. Like, it's a two-way street. So yeah, we understand that artistic director is quote unquote in charge and that associate artistic director is a subordinate, but that's not how we try and run the company. And that's not where our goal lies. What we're really looking at is opportunities, continual opportunities for peer mentorship and growth. So, Tori's, the entire literary process that we have is Tori's brainchild. The way that we select plays, we have literary panels made up of our members that are just constantly reading and talking about theatrical art. The whole way you can submit, interact, and consider the work we pick is all because of the way that Tori thinks and the way that Tori kind of designed it. So yeah.
Before I bring in the other members of the company, Zandra and Rebecca, I did want to ask, maybe you could tell me, what are the kind of projects, because they have their own that they're working on, but what are the kind of projects that you and Tori are looking to bring in? I mean, what is it that excites you about something when you see a play or another kind of work that maybe is more than just a play, that involves interactive audience participation?
Well, Tori, Tori, I'm going to jump in first, Tori, and jump in. So first, I think it's important to know about the Buffoons that we are designed as a multifaceted company. If we had a space, we would be a space with 3 stages. We'd have a main stage, we'd have a black box, and we'd have a children's corner. Like, God bless the children's corner that's no longer there. So we have 3 producing tracks when it comes to work that audiences see. We have our main stage track, which is the type of comedic big theater that we've done previously, like Mr. Burns, like the way we did The Dumbwaiter, like Barbecue. We have a lab track, which is for new radical experimentation and new work that gets cultivated up through our company, through our collective, and presented. Stories Without Words that we did 2 years ago as an example of that. And then we have a specifically focused young audiences track that is making highly stylized, highly physical, socially relevant work for accessible to families.
And no matter no matter which of those tracks one of the things that I think may be a little unique to us is that we use the same criteria no matter which of the 3 tracks. Whether we're thinking about programming for families and for children or for adults, we're thinking about the idea of being radical and what that means, right? And so we have a mission statement that we've kind of broken down and we use as our, I'm a teacher, I'm a very kind of straightforward thinker, like John alluded to. And so we have kind of use our mission statement as a rubric to really engage in conversation around work. Again, one of the things that I think John and I have in common is we really love the work of theater and the art of theater and the conversation that comes with theater. So I think we are constantly finding ways to create that conversation. And so even in our play selection process, we've designed it in a way that it really allows our collective to have thoughtful conversations about work, about radical work.
Yeah. And the rubric is actually a 5-point rubric. So what Tori said, no matter what we're programming for kids and families or for adults, for the R-rated over 18 stuff we've done or for the family stuff we've done, we're looking at whether it has to score a 4 out of 5. It has to be oversized in scope or idea. So big ideas or big plays or presented in complicated, interesting, wild ways. It has to be physically evocative. It has to be socially provocative. It has to be couched in humor as a vehicle for its storytelling. And we define humor very broadly. And it has to have vast opportunities for diversity, both on and off stage. Like, we're not interested in producing homogenous work. And that's both in our management, in our performance, in our design. We want to make sure that what you're seeing is a true representation of the kind of multifaceted organization we are, multi-cultured organization we are.
And as a result, you've got two different logos that you have the young audiences that you're talking about, right?
Yep.
And you also have the one that is just without mentioning that. So
well, we have a third. We have a third. We have a lab one, which is the a test tube and a beaker. So we actually have logos for each of our tracks.
That's interesting.
You know, Chris, when we started, we thought branding is clear. Let's make our branding clear. So if you're coming to see the young audiences show, you're seeing the balloon that's getting popped. If you're coming to a lab show, you're seeing the experiment. If you're coming to one of our main stages, you know, it's the juggling bombs. You have no idea what to expect, but it's going to be wild.
Let's not make the ladies wait any longer. I want to bring in our next guests who are members of the company. First off, I want to bring in Zandra Howard. And again, I want to thank you for being here tonight, Zandra. Again, where do you hail from?
I'm from New Orleans.
That's what I figured.
This is my home.
Get it.
And I love it, and it's special, and it's great, and that's why everybody's here.
And you're also involved, as I understand it, with teaching on a public school level as well, correct?
I'm a principal at Harriet Tubman Charter School here in New Orleans, and I've been a teacher here for 10 years. 10 years at my current school. And I love it. And I went to public schools, and it's great. You
know, there's the old story about, you know, with COVID is being a big challenge, you know, but what happens to principals when they go away? They lose their faculties, right? I remember that, right?
Hi-yo, pun.
I got it.
You never heard that. Never heard that before. All right. Rebecca Hollingsworth, one of our great actor performers, is also in the room tonight, and we want to thank her for being here. Rebecca, you've been a member of this company for how long? And she's frozen. She's in the company frozen. Thank you very much. Rebecca's here, and she'll come back, I'm sure, very soon. Okay, we'll punt. Anyway, Rebecca's here. Rebecca, hopefully, sometimes it helps if I kick you out of the room and then bring you back. Sometimes that helps. So I'm going to try to do that. Just come right back onto the room. I'll let you right back in. Okay.
I will answer your question. I will answer your question really quickly, Alan, that you had for Rebecca. Rebecca was in our first production of Mr. Burns. Zandra started with us. Was Barbecue your first show with us, Zandra?
Zandra.
Yeah, I think, right, Tori? Zandra was.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was muted.
Sorry.
Barbecue was first. And then we went on to do Rap
Yeah.
Undell.
Fun story about that real quick before you talk to Rebecca is that the students from Tubman came to see Rapunzel last year, and so got to see Zandra, their principal, also as a performer, which to watch the 90 of them watch in silent awe as their principal just tore up the stage was absolutely awesome. Truly awesome.
Yeah, it was the highlight, I think. I mean, this is why I do theater. You know, it was a highlight to just be able to do that for them. Yeah.
Well, hopefully, Rebecca, you're back. Hopefully, we can show a picture of Rapunzel.
Hi.
Rapunzel. That is one heck of a height of a hairstyle there.
You want to talk about the concept real quick?
Yeah, I saw it, by the way. It was wonderful. The kids loved it. The kids just took to it like bees to honey. They just thought it was wonderful. Again, I can't imagine having my principal performing, but I guess they got used to it. Did they giggle a little bit during the performance while they were there?
Yeah, and the funniest thing I think that's ever happened to me as a performer happened when my students were there.
That's right.
So the part of the show where I run up the stairs to talk to Rap, And I tripped and I fell, and all of the kids went, "Ooh," and then said, "Are you okay, Miss Howard?" And they kept whispering, "Are you sure you're okay?" And so they were really invested in me as a performer. They laughed harder than they still bring that up. It was really special, and I hope they remember it forever, because I surely will.
And Rebecca, you've been in so many different projects too. I mean, I seem to remember you being in a number of things at the Shadow Box. You know, and again, one goes after another. Weren't you in one? I want to say Blackbird. Was that possible? Is that possible? I'm trying to remember. Are you there?
I'm gonna text around. Are you talking about Autopia for Pigeons?
I remember she was in that one too. Yeah.
Blackbird. That was Becca.
That was Becca.
Fantastic.
Okay, all right. Well, there was another one that
Mhm.
did you play one where
yes.
there was an abuse victim who comes back sometime? I'm trying to remember if that was you or not. But anyway, not a problem. I think it was also titled that. But yeah, Blackbird was also with Becca. That was another one that she did with that was at the Elm, and I'm trying to remember all the characters. You know, they all run one after the other. Unfortunately, you know, it's been so many productions.
I think
Sometimes
John had it right. You might be thinking Autopia for Pigeons by Justin.
maybe so, but I'll think about what the name of it was later on, and probably after the show's over. But tell me about what drew you to the company, because you had been in so many other different companies. I think you had been performing, etc. What was it that drew you to Radical Buffoons as opposed to any of the others? Can you hear me?
Well, I started working with John pretty much as soon as he came in. And I was his producer on Faustus.
Yes, you were.
And so anything John wanted to do, I was kind of on to work with him, because I think he has vision. And whenever he approached me of this, with the other collaborators he was mentioning, we're so full of talent and drive that I couldn't imagine being with another company in town.
Gotcha. Well, I'm sure they're very glad to have you as a member, and I know that they had alluded to it earlier. So I don't know which of you wants to go first. Rebecca, since you've had a little bit of difficulty staying on, why don't we get you in and see if we can get you to maybe have a little bit of opportunity to talk about what your project is and what you're going to be doing, and what how it's going to be presented. Will it be done virtually, or will it be done in an actual theater setting? Okay.
I will tell you this,
Well,
Alan.
I will give some I can give some context.
Thank you, Tori.
Well,
Go ahead. Continue.
Go ahead.
I think you're lagging, so just keep talking. Don't stop.
I have a lag with y'all, so please excuse me if everything I say is popping up a little crazy. So the project I'm working on is called currently the Untitled Fox Sisters Project. It is first off a creators of modern spiritualism, the religion that is associated with seances and seance culture. These three women from White Rye, these two little girls, were just scared in a very cold winter in a house they were unfamiliar with, and a little too old, sleeping in mom's bed. Played a prank to be able to sleep in her bed, to scare their mom enough to be able to stay in her bed with her. And from that one white lie, an entire religious movement was started. And So it's a really fascinating and rich history that we have been for the past 6 months now, with my collaborators, Mint Bryant and Mike Marine, using stereotypes as a come up, engaging in like the idea that you can take something that someone holds against you and use it for your own benefit.
Okay.
About the malleability of truth and about sisterhood.
Well, I think we got most of that. I think we got most of it.
So, Alan, we could just for a little context. So, this is a project that B submitted, that Rebecca submitted through our lab process last year. So this is a project that she had shared with us that she was interested in cultivating, and is now in a period of research and development. So the goal is that this project is being workshopped slowly from step to step to step, from the idea in her head about looking into spiritualism and seance and sisterhood and these three particular female characters and the nature of truth, through the lens of high design and physical work, is currently spending the year, like she said, with Michael Marina and Mint Bryan in a period of research and development, digging into the history, digging into the magic or the false magic, if you will, built around it. You asked before about how it's going to be performed. I think it's really important that your viewers know that we as a company and a collective have made the communal decision that we're not producing anything anything live to an audience until fall of 2021. So all the projects that we're going to be talking about tonight are in their development stage. Right. And we're going into our 5th season, which starts in the fall, with these projects ready to go and start becoming publicly presented. So it's a bit of a lag time. That's why these are developing projects as opposed to out the gate right now happening projects.
Right. And you had a season that was already announced that you've had to kind of pull back from, correct?
We canceled 2/3 of our season last season and built this season in the moment of COVID.
Yeah. Right. And I think we've talked about really wanting to have the opportunity to develop new work and to, strengthen our collective. And this really, COVID really gave us a perfect opportunity. Pandemic really gave us an opportunity to do some of the things that, we wouldn't have prioritized if we were going back into the cycle of a play, creating a play, going into that production process. It's really allowed us to have time to, invest in our collective members and start to develop and invest in creating original work.
Tori, what are you drinking tonight?
I was going to ask, you didn't ask me earlier, and I was also going to mention that you and John are going a little crazy with the bitters, it seems. But I have a Boda box of some red wine tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I was hoping to have some whiskey, but I seem to be.
Any particular? Is it American? Is it French? Is it from Chile or Australia?
Where is Boda box?
Yeah, I'm not sure where Boda is located.
I don't know either.
You know, Zandra, you're on mute. What'd you say?
I said it's from
Costco. the country of the country of all the little people. That's right.
Yeah, Kirklandia.
Yes.
Rebecca, while we can still hear you, what are you drinking? She has a little bit of a lag, so we're gonna. What is it? Water? Okay. All right. Well, I'd love you to have a little something in that water, but that's okay. Zandra, what do you have for us for tonight? What did you bring in the room?
I have some tea with a splash of whiskey, and it's and a little bit of honey.
Now, are you out now? Is the school system shut down now for the holidays?
We had our last day before winter break today.
Ooh.
And so this is my start of winter break activity, having a lovely cocktail and spending this evening with you fine folks.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. And I want to hear about your project. Rebecca, are you teaching as well or not? Or what are you doing during the day? Taking a little while to catch up to us, I think. Or not.
Well, she's going to just jump in. I'm going to be quiet the minute she starts talking. But Rebecca and her husband, Steven, are
don't they?
they're the creators, the chef, and the brains and the brawn behind Bonafide Food Truck, which has the best fried chicken sandwich in New Orleans, as far as I'm concerned. And actually, I'll tell you, when Ian McNulty did his article about chicken sandwiches, right when everybody was going crazy about the Popeyes chicken sandwich, and he wrote an article about it, he gave them a shout out.
Right.
Their chicken sandwich made it as a shout out in the where are the good chicken sandwiches besides the Popeyes chicken sandwich. And it's a food truck that you'll see around town. It's pretty fantastic.
I am mighty partial to the Popeyes chicken sandwich, but that's
another have to come out to Bonafide and give it a shot.
Check out Bonafide. Rebecca, we got to check out your Bonafide chicken sandwich and other products on the truck. Okay. All right. You may be lagging, but you're at least smiling.
Please.
Anytime,
come see me. I'll take it.
So, Zandra, what project do you have on tap for the coming year?
I am working on.
Oh, and I am drinking a vodka.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Zandra, go ahead. We'll get her back.
Okay, yeah. I'm working on a young audiences show. And John and Tori came to me with an idea of creating a play, no play, that is a play that is not a play about embracing uncertainty. And we kind of just rolled with it, and the project and the development has been that way. But what it has become is a story, I think, that's just about two kids. They're on their porches, and they're trying to deal with what does it mean to be free, and one kid's trying to be free of the thing that all kids are trying to be free from, their parents, the rules of their parents, and another one trying to be free of the limitations that are placed on them because of their body, and using creative ways to try to figure out how to experience that freedom. And we're kind of just going with what it's like, and we're kind of as a teacher, I'm trying to think about what are the things in our present that kids are thinking about. And when we do theater again, what are the things that they're going to want to, the reason I go to the theater is I want to examine something about the world and want to walk away with like, aha. Kids want to do that too. They don't want to just, but they want to do it in a way that's relatable to them and their experiences, and they're experiencing the same thing we're experiencing right now. The beautiful thing about embracing uncertainty is I'm embracing the process of just letting the characters tell me where they want to go and the story where it wants to go. And I've never done this before. And, we're going to see where it takes us.
Rebecca, I was about to ask her to come in, and she's gone out again. She can come back in as soon as she comes back in. I'll bring her in. All of you who are in the teaching world, though, have to be considering, the past spring and summer that we had, and everything that went on with the dialogue of Black Lives Matter, and everything that is being impacted with this pandemic, having to learn virtually as opposed to being in a classroom setting, or having to do it in a hybrid fashion, perhaps in class one day and at home another. All of these, are causing a lot of pressure, a lot of extra stress on everybody, from parents to the students themselves to, of course, the teachers and the other administrative people like the principals, as you are, Zandra. So, I have to ask, have you seen that using theater is effective in sort of channeling their energies and and getting them to perhaps not just be entertained, but perhaps to learn valuable lessons that we're trying to teach our kids?
That's always been theater. I don't think it's something that I just, it's because of the pandemic. That's always been a thing. And I think it's like, the arts are not always that prevalent in schools. I am, as a school leader, know and realize we have to make decisions based on lots of things. And we want our kids to do really well academically. And we also want them to be able to experience art and learn from it and grow as artists. That's always been the case with theater. I think it would be more important and probably one of the most important things for us to consider as we think about schools coming out of this pandemic, of how we're going to use these tools to help all of our students be able to be present during math and ELA classes, but have an outlet for the emotional toll that this has taken on all of us. So I don't think I found it. I think that's what it is. That's what it's always been. I just think it's about trying to figure out how to provide more opportunities under the pressures and stresses of and the very real important work of getting students to succeed academically in a way that it's important and still filled with art, if that makes sense.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, like I say, I always have thought that theater was a wonderful outlet. I'm just wondering, if it maybe even is needed more now than ever before, due to all the increased pressure. And John, you teach as well, and I'm just, I'm thinking.
Yeah, and also a lot of the work that we've done, both of the YA plays we've done previously, and almost all of the adult theater we've done, isn't just sit in a space and watch theater. Like we incorporate a lot of, we keep the fourth wall as molecularly thin as possible in everything we do, right? There's interaction with our audiences in a lot of our work. And I think when it comes to what Zandra's talking about, this isn't the kind of work where kids just come and sit and see something and have feelings. They're being asked to have an interactive experience with the play. So they're having interactive experience. Adults too, we're all having interactive experiences with the art, which brings our emotions to the forefront and gives us some level of interactive catharsis. So I think if we just went back to a world where it's like, okay, this moment is over and we're moving forward, let's go back to sitting in a theater quietly, the lights go down, we watch a play in front of us, and then we go home. I don't think that's going to address the giant seismic shifts in our humanity that we've experienced. I think the work that B is making, the work that Zandra's making, the work that the company's making is designed to not shy away from having to be inside of our emotions when we experience a play.
Yeah, I just wanted to add there is that I think if we as a theater community rush back to get to where we were a year ago, I'm not sure that's a great place to be aiming to get back.
Agreed.
I don't know if that place was really great for artists. I don't know if that was great for a lot of Black artists or artists of color or women, and so
caregivers.
I don't think we as a community, as a New Orleans theater community, I think if we are rushing back to just create the work, the kind of work, and make the same kind of decisions we were making before, I think we're doing a huge injustice to the medium of theater. I do think the pandemic and the reckoning of understanding the importance of Black lives and the importance of Black bodies, I think we are in a really opportune moment to redefine what this art form can do for kids and for adults alike.
Yeah, thank you, Jordan.
So I guess that the question I have is you talked a little bit about your work with the children and some of the things that you're doing for adult audiences. Can you touch a little bit on before we touch on what you're doing with the Alonathon too? Because I know that's a very important aspect to why we're here tonight too. But the lab, what kinds of works would you be doing in the lab theater? And are any of the works that you're thinking about presenting within the lab more or less channeling some of the newfound energies as a result of the Black Lives Matter and other situations that have popped up this past year?
Well, I mean, lab is built based on the idea that every project has to have a hypothesis, right? The only fully produced lab project we've done so far is Stories Without Words, which built itself around two questions. One was, how can we recreate digital experiences in live space, specifically music videos? How can we create a YouTube hole that people, you go on your phone and you watch till 2 a.m, 25 music videos? How can we simulate that experience through live bodies in space? And the second question was, how can two very different makers, different backgrounds, different experiences, different styles, can they work with the same ensemble? And can there be a kind, will the result be very different pieces or very similar pieces? In that one, I choreographed and Jarrell Hamilton choreographed. We're two extremely different people. And yet somehow working with the same 5 people, we found this unique, unexpected intersection of our styles. So lab is whatever, whoever poses a lab project, it's about asking questions. So, B's asking questions with the Fox sisters around sisterhood, around queerness, around the nature of truth, which is super important right now in the world we're living in, with the way that social media behaves, with the conversations around what's going on with our election. Like, truth is malleable more than ever right now, So that is a show that's steeped in history, that's also of the present moment. When lab projects are presented, that's how they're sort of analyzed. Whether or not they will address any specific moment in time is hard to say. We let our collective members come to us with their ideas and go from there.
We are now at the point where we should start to think about mentioning what you were doing in terms of your fundraising efforts, and that was the Alonathon this past week. Is it still going on? Have you reached your goal yet, or are you still in process?
The Alonathon's goal was, the Alonathon originally ran, so real quick bit of history. We had planned to run the Alonathon on Give NOLA Day this past year. And and it's, our idea about a theater.
Was that like May the 2nd, something like that?
Well, it was pushed to June the 2nd,
right,
because of COVID.
Right.
And, we have this very fun, very cheeky idea where we've created all of these audio call-in pieces, and we play them through an answering machine with a microphone. So it looks, it's no one's in the theater, so leave your performance after the beep. And we have lots of our collaborators and our friends doing audio performances. We were supposed to run that on June 2nd. George Floyd was murdered days before. And we had a long conversation, me and Tori, me and Fred Bailey, who was managing director at the time, with our board, with other collective members. And we just kept circling around, asking for money right in that moment, taking the eye off the moment, doing something silly and cheeky and comedic felt to all of us really inappropriate.
Right.
And not honoring the moment, not honoring the lives, not making space instead of taking space. So we actually didn't run the Alonathon at Give NOLA Day. We pulled out of Give NOLA Day for that day, so that we could make space for those that needed to take the space more than us. And so we ran it recently on Giving Tuesday because it's a similar concept. So the Alonathon ran for a day with videos and call-in ideas and all kinds of, every hour on the hour, a new strange piece of experimental theater was premiered for 24 hours from midnight to 11 p.m. And that ran for 24 hours. We made a remarkable $6,000 in a day. The generosity of this community and our community here in New Orleans, our community outside of it, is unbelievable. Our total goal before the end of the year is to make that event a $10,000 event. So we're actually calling now, the Alonathon is now the Rerun-a-thon. And we're running it every day. It's going again, because just like the time loop that we're all in COVID, every day over and over and over again, here we are in this COVID moment. Every day is Giving Tuesday in the Rerun-a-thon.
We're all living Bill Murray's Groundhog Day every day.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess my question: do you have a way of people giving? Is there a spot on Facebook? How are you doing that?
Yeah, well, everything you want to know about us is on our website. Information about the projects that B and Zandra are doing, another project that's being worked on right now, also called Redux, with the two young actors who were supposed to be our Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. Information about how to submit plays, and also how to donate and how to watch our rerun-a-thon. It's all at radicalbuffoons.com. So all giving is through our website.
Okay, I'm showing the website now. Now this is
you'll see Zandra right there in the bottom left corner.
This is the barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
This is satire. It says sharper than a gator's tooth.
It was it's a play. Let me tell you.
Yeah. Now this was now Robert O'Hara has become rather famous as the director of Slave Play recently. He just directed Ardor McDonald in the Williamstown Theater Festival's production of A Streetcar Named Desire. Quite a talent there. So for you to have barbecue on the scene was before the time probably that a lot of people might have known what it was, because he was making quite a name for himself on Broadway before the pandemic hit.
It's not. It's also
years
not
before, and many years before. I think one of the things that's exciting about Robert O'Hara is he's had these gut-punching works that have kind of slid under the radar for the last decade or so. And barbecue was the kind of conversation that I think solidified my involvement with the Buffoons. I think in terms of the work you asked earlier about the work we're looking for, that's the kind of the work where you read it and you feel moment in your gut where something has changed. I think that is the kind of I think barbecue really exemplifies the kind of work.
Now, Dumbwaiter, I love this show because it depended on what day you were there, who was playing what, right? Both actors had to learn both parts.
Yeah, that falls under the concept of a big idea in scope or idea. That's right. Like, instead of just doing Pinter's the Dumbwaiter, James and Clint learned both roles. We brocked it both ways, and they would have an audience member flip a coin to decide who played which role that night.
It was great. I mean, and
we
again,
had a lot of fun.
Done at a very interesting place that is a performing spot that is probably unlike most of the other performing spots in New Orleans. Essentially, an open garage.
The Fortress of Lushington.
It's called the Fortress of Lushington.
We also performed a barbecue there.
Yeah.
This was done at Art Club.
Now, was this done in conjunction with Rockfire? Because I see Matt Reed is in there.
And this was co-produced. This was co-produced with Rockfire Theater Company. Mint Bryan, who's working with Rebecca on Fox Sisters, was the musical director. Lynx Murphy built the masks. There's a bunch of our members in there. Bayo's a collective member. B is a collective member. Tori's a collective member. Lori DeLeon, who's in that show, is a collective member.
Tanaj Jackson.
Tanaj is our collective liaison and member. Yeah.
And then of course for the kids. Now this is the a lot of these physical comedy for the home. I know a lot of these pictures had you with the balloon.
That is me, by the way. This is also just to point out about making space for multifaceted artists, right? Like Zandra performed with us twice and is on our young audiences panel, but is also writing a play, right? Like, we're not interested in people just doing one thing. So these costumes, this amazing two-dimensional costume here is made by Rebecca Hollingsworth, who's been an actor with us, who's creating with us, right? We're really interested in making space for our artists to be multifaceted makers.
And this was Rap Unzel.
Yep, Tori directed this.
And a lot of fun. Now the kids all sat on the floor. I think my legs went to sleep 3 times.
You sat on the floor?
You didn't sit in the grass, Alan, did you?
I think I did.
We got a lot. We had so we needed AstroTurf for barbecue, which we got from Southern Rep from their production of The Wolves. And then we took the AstroTurf from barbecue and we cut it up to make grass for the kids to sit on for Rapunzel, which was performed in the lobby of Southern Rep. So that grass that we used, that AstroTurf, had a long theatrical history.
Yeah, it was fun. You know, I think that for the kids to be able to sit, you know, on the ground like that and look up at the stage was so much fun for them.
Yeah.
Because you know, kids are normally squirmy. You know, they have spilkies is the Yiddish expression for it. They have ants in their pants. They all have a little bit of ADD, maybe. You know, you know,
we embrace that. We want our audience leaning in. We want them fidgeting. We want them moving around. We want our kids wanting to walk up on stage. Like that's
like Sandra said, it's the same thing adults want when they go to the theater, right? Like, you know, I don't really want to sit there and not cry or laugh or clap or something within the, or, you know, make a comment out loud. Like it's, you know, that's I think where theater needs to be, right? We're in this public space, and I'm excited to get back there, because that is one of the things about it, is you're really, you know, like you are in a room there experiencing at the same time and having these visible, audible reactions.
Yeah, I was talking with a student at Loyola who was so overwhelmed by the idea of having interactive shows, and really had only ever experienced fourth wall. But here's the thing: the audience is always present in theater. They're already part of the show.
Yeah.
So to ignore their presence and pretend that there's some block between us is to deny the humanity flowing off the people in the audience. It's going to affect the actors and vice versa. You know, I think for me, and I think for a lot of the people that we work with, the beauty of theater was the communal event, was the ritual of being together and feeling and moving and talking, like Tori said, and like Zandra said, talking back to the stage, interacting. You know, for me, it's not that COVID has made it so I can't go out, right, or that we can't produce theater. It's made it so that our ability to for our humanity to just be blazing out of our skin is momentarily on hold. And for me, when we get back to theater, whenever that comes, you know, however that comes, I look forward to that. I look forward to human beings once again letting their energy, letting their auras go, you know, their kinesthetic presence go well beyond the edges of their body. Because that's what makes theater so vital. And that's why it's not film, right? And that's why it's not just dance. And that's why it's not writing. It's a whole other anthropological experience.
Well, yeah, and we could probably have a whole nother show on just, you know, why and how theater is different than film and other art forms. But suffice it to say, yeah, the audience is a very real part of it. And I don't think that anybody would ever doubt that, because, you know, the artists who are on stage will always say they can feel it when the audience isn't there for them. And when they get that energy back from the audience and it drives them on, that their performance is enhanced by that connection that they make.
So I would say what we aim to do is then take that and radicalize that. We attempt to make that bigger. It's not just their presence in the room, it's their participation in the moment. It's their activation in their belief structures, right? It's more than just being present. It's actually leaning into the experience, leaning into the moment.
And in so doing, we're all radical buffoons.
Yeah. I think everybody's got it in them.
Well, listen, I want to thank you guys for being here tonight. Tori, best of luck with what you're doing as well with the company. Zandra, have a nice vacation. I think, you know, you've got a little one that you're taking care of at home. And again, please do take care of him and have as much fun for Christmas with him as you possibly can, because they grow up way, way, way too quick, as you probably know. Rebecca, may you have many, many fried chickens in the next several weeks that you and your husband enjoy. And I'm going to have to find out, where's your truck normally? Please tell me. Where do you keep it? Where is it? Is it parked somewhere where I can come find it if I need to?
We'll get you that.
We're all over the place right now. But we
All right.
always have
Say again. You always what? I heard you say you're all over the place, but you're always at, and then you cut out.
They have pop-ups right now.
Okay.
They
All
are on Facebook. You should follow their Facebook. They
I'll have
always
to follow Facebook to figure out where it is.
Yeah,
All
they're
right.
on Facebook. They're on Instagram. Bonafide at Bonafide.
Yeah.
We're at Radical.
all we
We're at.
have-
Oh, go ahead.
And I heard what you said earlier about the vodka. So
we
yeah.
have party platters.
So what was that again? It's a losing battle. It's
Hmm.
okay.
They're doing I can tell because I know. They're doing party platters for offices.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm not in an office right now. This is my office. My bedroom is my office right now. Listen, thank you all very much. Rebecca, you take care. One of the problems that we have sometimes when we use phones is that they do cut out, but it was working fine for a while there. But I'm going to remove you. Y'all stick around for just a little bit while I say goodnight to everybody else. It's time for me to take the room over. John, thank you very much for being here. Tori, Zandra, again, thank you very much. The Radical Buffoons, ladies and gentlemen, and they are still continuing their Alonathon, radicalbuffoons.com. You can give generously in this time of giving. A nice idea would be to help their Alonathon get some funds that they need to continue the programs that they do. And again, thank you all for being with me tonight. Please keep in mind that our guest coming up this Monday will be none other than Ann Mahoney-Kadar. I should have been running that tonight to let everybody know it, but I was so enthralled with everything going on with Radical Buffoons that I didn't get a chance to tell everybody about that, but it's going to be Monday. This was the conversation we were going to have with her that had been postponed because of the passing of Carol Sutton and Sherry Marina. We decided to postpone it till this Monday. And again, if you have a chance, Saturday night, tomorrow night, please check out Lifetime. Ann Mahoney-Kadar will be on a show that they're going to be doing called Stolen in Plain Sight, I believe it's called. So hopefully that'll be something you can watch and enjoy her performance of that. And then you'll see it before she comes on Monday night. For all of the people in Radical Buffoons and myself, this again is Alan Smason. And I want to thank you for being with me tonight on NOLA Theater Talk. And again, I will see you all at the theater.